Have you ever wondered why two people can experience the same event, yet walk away with completely different realities? One sees opportunity, the other sees disaster. One feels empowered, the other defeated. The difference doesn't lie in the event itself, it lies in the mind. The truth is, your mind is not just a vessel of thoughts. It's more like a cipher machine, encrypting, decoding, and reshaping reality through invisible codes. Most people live their lives without ever realizing that their thoughts aren't neutral. They're patterned, encoded, and heavily influenced by hidden rules. Your mind constantly interprets reality. Every conversation, every setback, every success is filtered through codes you didn't consciously write. Today, we're going to dive deep into the ciphered mind, how it works, why most people remain trapped by their unconscious codes, and how you can begin to reprogram the cipher for clarity, freedom, and wisdom. And stay with me until the end, because in the final section I'll share the one mental key that, once applied, can completely change how you experience the world. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." That single sentence reveals the essence of the ciphered mind. Life throws data at us, events, words, challenges. But the meaning we assign is filtered through codes we rarely question. Think of it like this. You and I might both receive the same letter. But if it's encrypted and I don't have the right key, it's meaningless to me. If you hold the key, the message becomes clear. Our minds work in much the same way. Except here, the keys are our beliefs, assumptions, and habits of thought. So, what exactly are these codes? They are the invisible scripts we carry, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, the unconscious phrases we repeat, like "I can't," "I'm not ready," or "that's just the way things are." They are the cultural patterns we inherit without question. Marcus Aurelius, while ruling an empire, reminded himself daily that the world was full of opinions and that only his own reasoned choices mattered. In doing so, he constantly rewrote his internal cipher, refusing to let external noise define his inner clarity. Fast forward to today. Let's say you're in a work meeting. A colleague criticizes your idea. If your cipher is coded with insecurity, you interpret the critique as, "I'm not good enough." If your cipher is coded with confidence and openness, you interpret it as, "Here's a chance to sharpen my idea." Same event, different decoding, completely different realities. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. They taught that reality is not what happens to us, but how we process it. And our processing depends on the cipher we're running. The first key to breaking free of mental traps is awareness. Whenever something upsets you, pause and say to yourself, "Let me decode this differently." In that moment, you interrupt the automatic program. You remind yourself that your first interpretation isn't the only one. You open a door to new meaning. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. Your old code says, "Disrespect, anger, they're against me." But if you deliberately choose to decode it differently, maybe they're rushing to the hospital, maybe they're careless but not malicious, suddenly your inner storm calms. You're no longer enslaved to the cipher. You've begun to rewrite it. The second phrase is, what is the principle here? Our minds often encrypt reality with emotion. When anger, envy, or fear arise, they distort the signal. The Stoic response is to bring everything back to principle. Say you're in an argument. Emotions flare. Instead of firing back, you pause and decode. The principle here is fairness. The principle here is patience. The principle here is respect. That single shift cuts through the noise. Seneca wrote that, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." Principles are our why. They cut through the encryption of emotion and reveal clarity underneath. The third phrase is, "This code is not mine." Many of the mental patterns we run were not written by us. They were installed by family, society, advertising, even childhood experiences. Some codes whisper, "Don't dream too big." Others say, "You must always please others." When you feel trapped by these voices, respond with, "This code is not mine." Imagine you're about to decline an opportunity because a voice in your head says, "You're not qualified." Stop and remind yourself, that's not your authentic voice. It might be the echo of a teacher, a parent, or a past failure. By naming it, you separate yourself from it. Epictetus said that freedom begins the moment we separate ourselves from impressions that are not true. By saying this code is not mine, you reclaim authorship over your mind. The fourth phrase is, I choose the key. The ciphered mind doesn't just encrypt reality, it can also be unlocked with the right key. And the key is always choice. When confronted with difficulty, instead of reacting on autopilot, whisper to yourself, I choose the key. Let's say you lose your job. One key leads to despair. I'm finished, I've lost everything. Another key opens a door to growth. This is a chance to reinvent myself. The event doesn't change, the key does. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. That's the cipher in action. The fifth phrase is, reality remains untouched. Here's the most liberating codebreaker of all. Beneath all our interpretations, reality simply is. The sun rises. The rain falls. People act as they do. When you say to yourself, reality remains untouched, you remind yourself that your judgments don't alter the world, they only alter your experience of it. This is pure Stoic serenity. You may not control events, but you control the filter. You can strip away the encryption of fear, pride, or resentment and face life as it is. So let's recap the 5 cipher-breaking phrases. Let me decode this differently. What is the principle here? This code is not mine. I choose the key. Reality remains untouched. Each of these works like a mental algorithm, short, clear, but powerful enough to shift perception and restore self-mastery. Now, you might be wondering, why put so much effort into decoding thoughts? Isn't life complicated enough? But here's the secret. Most of our suffering doesn't come from events. It comes from our coded interpretations of them. By mastering the cipher, you don't just reduce suffering. You gain freedom. You begin to see opportunities where others see only walls. You maintain peace in storms that make others crumble. Let me share a story. There was once a Roman general who lost a major battle. His soldiers panicked, thinking the war was over. But the general calmly said, "We lost a battle, not the war." The code of this moment is preparation, not despair. That reframe, that cipher, changed everything. His men rallied, regrouped, and eventually secured victory. Now imagine bringing that same mental discipline into your own life. Losing a client doesn't mean losing your career. A failed relationship doesn't mean you're unworthy of love. One event doesn't define you. The cipher does. When you start applying these phrases, you'll notice small shifts. Arguments lose their sting. Criticism feels less personal. Setbacks become stepping stones. And as these shifts accumulate, your entire life feels lighter. You stop living in a prison of old codes and begin to design your own mental architecture. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Wasting life means running the wrong codes, day after day, without questioning them. Rewriting the cipher is reclaiming that wasted time. I promised at the beginning to share the one key that can change everything. Here it is, observe the cipher, don't become it. The moment you observe your thoughts as codes, not as ultimate truth, you gain distance. That distance is power. You are no longer trapped inside the encryption. You are the decoder, the writer, the master of the system. This perspective doesn't just help in daily stress. It opens the door to true inner freedom. The mind is a cipher. It can imprison you in distorted codes, or it can be the most powerful tool for freedom. The difference lies in whether you accept the codes blindly or learn to decode and rewrite them. So remember the 5 phrases. Let me decode this differently. What is the principle here? This code is not mine. I choose the key. Reality remains untouched. Apply them with calmness, with serenity, and with consistency. And soon, you'll notice that life doesn't control you. You control the cipher. If you found this valuable, subscribe and join me as we continue exploring how to think, act, and live with the wisdom of the greatest philosophers. And tell me in the comments, which of these 5 phrases will you practice first?